Last week, we started season 2, and Will Schuester was a terrible person yet again, and we had Jacob Ben Israel talk about Glee's big gay summer, and Rachel was terrible to Sunshine Corazon. That's what you missed on Gleeboot.
Yay.
I'm always so impressed by your little recaps.
Especially because I think of them right at the
Do you write them down, or you just think of them?
Nope. It's off the top of his head.
I literally forgot we do those until she hit the record button, and I was like,
You're like, oh, shit.
gotta think of gotta think of something.
I should try it one time and just like see how badly it goes.
That's
a great idea. That's a great idea. Like, we should take turns trying to do Cullen's job and then just being like, Cullen, you have to do it. I'm sorry, I can't.
Gleeboot.
So, sup guys, welcome to Gleeboot. I'm Cullen.
Alyssa.
Hannah.
The bumping you hear is Suki, and the cat, and we have, just to clarify,
I forgot what species she was.
And we have a special guest, someone who has watched Glee voluntarily multiple times, so they're basically an expert. Julia!
Hi! Excited to be here.
Welcome, Julia.
Thank you.
We're very excited to have her. She's a Glee expert, or a Glexpert. Glexpert?
Yeah,
Gleekspert. I like that better.
Yeah. I guess we should explain how we know Julia. We pulled her off the street because we were looking for people who know about Glee. Yeah.
We had a class.
A class?
A class. We had a class.
Can we just go back to our Midwestern roots?
Yeah. We met each other in grad school at BU. She was
television, which means we're all experts in Glee.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Specifically.
We love to use jargon that we used in class, so like no big deal.
We're very smart.
We'll be like, that was a scene of Aftermath.
Oh, Lord.
I thought you were just going to stop at that was a scene.
That was some dialogue.
That was probably written in something called a script.
Nice.
Sorry to blow your minds here.
Just some jargon.
Just some what we use in the show business. All right, so this week we're talking about the second episode of season 2, Brittany. It's a quality episode. It's one Julia picked because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It is a pretty fun one.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
Especially because I just listened to our Power of Madonna episode where we were not having fun.
Oh my God. So I wrote that in my notes that I literally, like, we'll kind of talk about, like, there's kind of a Madonna reference in this episode. I literally lost my mind because I was like, I'm so triggered by the 11 hours it took me to edit that episode after having watched the episode, then recording it, and then editing it. It's just so much Madonna. But yeah, it's another one of those like single artist episodes, which is pretty cool. And I actually had a lot of fun. I kind of loved it.
Okay, before we jump in, can we talk about what we're drinking?
We should, yes.
I already told you guys, I'm in a closet drinking. I drank half a bottle of wine. I'm finishing that half bottle of wine.
So you're drinking a full bottle of wine.
Yeah, I guess that's what that means. And it was like a buy one get one free, plus you get a charcuterie with it when I went to this tapas place last week. So yeah, it's some sort of red. I don't remember what it was, but I'm putting it in my body.
Relatable.
Well done. I am drinking a drink.
Nice.
That my mother, who just came back from Jamaica, came to visit me, and she's like, okay, I drank this on Jamaica's beach every day when I was there. And it's vodka, grapefruit juice, and cranberry juice. But when I tried it the first time, I didn't, there was something missing. So this time I added lime juice. hits the spot. Very acidic, but super fresh. I like it.
Alyssa made me a drink.
That you asked for.
I asked for it. It is gin and vermouth, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Just straight liquored. Gin and vermouth. On the rocks.
Yeah, in a little glass. Just a little guy. Yeah. Julie's drinking water because she's
just drunk on Glee.
She's drunk on the magic of Glee.
Actually, though, Glee is one of those shows that, like, I watch it and then I'm like, wow, I can't sleep because I'm so excited because I just watched Glee. It's like when I saw Cats and I couldn't fall asleep for like 5 hours because I was like drunk on Cats. And it's kind of the same with fun episodes of Glee because I'm a nerd.
It's a show I voluntarily chose to revisit in podcast form.
True.
Like it's fun to rewatch.
Some are fun to rewatch. This one, so again, Power of Madonna, not fun to rewatch. This one, I had a great time. It took me probably an hour and a half to watch through because I kept pausing to write notes, but mostly because I had a bunch of like good things to say and so many things that I wanted to like laugh about with you guys. So positive reaction from me. First.
Positive vibes. First. So, first storyline, we're going to talk about Human Nightmare Will Schuester. Yeah. Alyssa just made like it's like a mix of Chef's Kiss and like resigned patience of course we are.
I'm so glad that you got the of course we are because that's exactly what I was thinking in my head when I made that movement. And then also, I'm glad that you described it because I was thinking this was a great movement. No one saw it.
Because podcasts are a visual medium. Exactly.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So, it starts with Will came up with the boringest lesson idea. He wants to have the Glee Club to smooth adult contemporary.
But was there even a lesson, or did he just want them to just do it?
Great
I think
question.
just do it. Well, he said, he was talking about Christopher Cross. He's like, who's Christopher Cross? And Brittany's like, discovered America. And Finn nods like he agrees.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Honestly, that's where I first stopped it. I was like, I have to write this down. It's so good.
It was a good moment. Finn was just so precious.
Yeah, and while he's doing this lesson, Kurt interrupts and is like, there's a Facebook group, which is now up to 5 people.
A burgeoning Facebook group.
Saying that they should do Britney Spears because that's someone who they grew up with and they relate to. And Will's like, we're not doing Britney Spears because I, as a man, determined that Britney Spears is a bad role model.
Did he even say that?
He was just like, I don't like her.
No,
Yeah, it was
like
really strange.
He said she was
Schue's-
a bad role model.
He did say she was a bad role model.
And then
Susan-
then Sue kind of like agreed with that, but that was like around the time when he was like considering doing Britney. But yeah.
Yeah,
definitely was
that's
like-
what pushed
Sue
him.
comes in like 27 minutes into the episode and is
I
like, now I have a
know.
strong opinion on things that have been happening.
Yeah, that was very strange when she walked in. But I don't actually recall him saying that she was a bad influence. But you know what I do recall? My parents saying she was a bad influence.
Interesting.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of recall that too.
Yeah.
But that was probably in like 2007. And this
Right.
episode was like 2013, 2014. Like it was later. Because I recall
Yeah.
my parents like mid Britney breakdown being like, she's not a great influence. But then like I think we all got on the like redemption train with her.
Mm-hmm.
And this was post that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on the timeline there. Because I remember hearing Britney Spears as like a bad influence when I was like definitely still like a child and not a Teens are children, but like, you know, in your brain, they're different boxes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he shuts Kurt down, and then we'll talk about Brittany's. Brittany gets her own storyline finally, so we'll talk about Brittany's reaction to Britney Spears later on because it's golden.
So wait, are we gonna move on from the scene already, or are we staying with this scene? Because I have a couple things.
I was gonna move on to the Will and Emma scene.
Okay.
So speak now.
Okay.
Taylor Swift's album.
Oh gosh. So his shirt was kind of unbuttoned, and I kind of thought I was seeing chest hair, and it made me really uncomfortable. And then there's this weird like look that he has with Quinn, like when he's like passing out the sheet music to whatever gross song that he wanted them to sing, and he's like literally saying the word come, like come to you, and like he's like handing the paper to Quinn, and she's like looking up at him, and her mouth is like open, and I'm like, this is disgusting. So if anyone wants to loop back to that at any point when they do their
I remember that moment.
It was so weird. I was like,
it
this
was
is
very
gross.
weird.
There's a lot of sexualization of Schue in this episode. Like, oh, also the fucking recap triggered me because it shows a flashback to Acapellas, one of the first episodes. It was too much sexualization of Schuster, and I couldn't. So
okay, was that line with Quinn actually sexualization? Because I remember it being super uncomfortable, but I just wasn't at the point where I was like, okay, the word come is what's making me uncomfortable right now. It just was super weird.
It all just like kind of like rapid fire in my brain was like, he's saying the word come exactly as he's giving her the sheet. She's looking at him like really, like kind of, I don't know, it just gave me a weird vibe. A lot of weird vibes.
It was a weird moment.
Everything Schuster did made everything uncomfortable, but the rest of it I really loved.
Yeah, if we cut out the like main storyline of the episode, it's really good. And like that's slightly sarcastic, but also very honest. Like if without Schue, Glee is so much better.
It really is.
Yeah. So he's talking to Emma. And he's like, I think she's a bad role model. And Emma's like, actually, I think it's admirable how she kind of got all her ducks in a row. Something to that effect. Like she's sorting through her pamphlets on like breastfeeding and
and there's hair down there.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
And she's like, Will, you're just too uptight. You gotta let loose more. She talks about her new boyfriend Carl encouraging her to like break free and try new things, like mixing the red and the green grapes and just eating them. And Will's all like, oh, big deal.
He's such an asshole. It's like he's so clear that that's such a big moment for her, and like fairly it is a big moment for her, and then he's like, whatever. And I'm just like, chill. You're supposed to like her, like be nice to her and be happy for her.
I don't even understand why he's in the same room with her. Like, why are they even talking? Like, he doesn't. Yeah, I don't need to be friends.
No, Emma, come on, kick him to the curb already.
Right.
Yeah, because that was so unbelievably rude. He knows how much she struggles. Remember when he got her a therapist?
I was just gonna say when he gave her a business card and sent her away to a mental institution. Yeah.
What a dick.
I hate him.
He sucks. I think the thing about Will why we hate him so much is in a show where all the villains are really obvious, he's supposed to be a hero, and he's just so bad.
They remind us of that at the end of the episode, and I screamed. I literally screamed.
I just imagine Hannah sitting there at her laptop just shrieking.
I literally just went, ah! Why would you say that? Like, Emma calls him a good teacher, and then, like the best in the school, and I was like, ah! Why? Why would you say that? Yeah, that's what happened.
That's the end?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna
I have
come
lots to
back to
say
that
about that.
because I have
Lots
things
to
to say
say.
about that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bookmark that one.
So just put a pin in that and go to the introduction of John Stamos, Carl the dentist.
So hot.
He swoops in as Emma's new boyfriend. He surprises her, and she's like shocked, and he's all like a little condescending.
Oh,
But
it was. I wrote kind of toxic, and I was like, nailed it. So, oh no, my drink! Is it okay?
Yeah, we're having a meltdown.
My Britney Spears reference really killed.
Sorry, that was my fault.
This is great. This is staying in the podcast. Whoever is editing it, don't edit this out.
I need the table.
as in KNEED.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You do need the table.
I was like,
a lot of stuff on it.
What other need is there? Me with my
We are conservatively 4 minutes into the episode of Glee and chaos. I love it.
So he's upset, or he's trying to play nice with Carl. Or do we want to talk about how Carl's toxic? Should we do that?
I mean,
Yes.
all I wrote was that, like, so he's like, oh, I love how your face gets all, like, worried when I try to change your routine. It's so adorable. Condescending, and then I also wrote, like, kind of also really toxic. Like, he's, like, kind of getting off on her being worried. It's very strange.
And not toxic in the fun Britney Spears song kind of way.
Yeah.
I got things
Which-
to say about their version of toxic on this
I-
episode.
Also have things to say. We'll bookmark that one, too. We'll put a pin in it.
I think with Carl, and with every relationship on Glee, I'm not sure anyone who worked on Glee, like, ever either didn't want to write healthy relationships or, like, didn't know what that... Because, like, every relationship is so toxic. Like, we'll talk about Rachel and Finn later, but, like, oh my goodness. Like, in this episode and every episode, they're awful to each other. And just, like, all of them across the board are awful to each other. Except, like, maybe one.
Like, are we worried about the mental health and personal life of the Glee writers? Like, is that what we're saying right now? Are they okay?
Valid
I'm worried.
concern.
I'm worried for Gwyneth Paltrow because she's married to one of them.
True. I really hope that their relationship is not toxic.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
did not
what
know that.
she met
Alyssa,
him while she was guest starring on Glee.
We definitely talked about this already, Alyssa. This is my favorite part, is when Alyssa's like, already has information she should have known, because we definitely talked about it, and then she's like coming out with fresh eyes. It's so good. So good. So, yeah, it was kind of a revelation every time I hear it, actually. I kind of forget myself, so yeah.
Okay, who's Gwyneth Paltrow?
She
Wait,
In
the
a
actor
general
or
sense
the,
or on
or the
Glee?
character? 'Cause
she
she
hasn't
what
met
does
the
she look
character
like?
yet.
But you don't know what
She's-
Gwyneth Paltrow looks like.
The skinny blonde lady?
What?
Is that
What?
helpful?
No. What else? What other characters has she played?
Pepper
She's
Potts
Iron
and the
Man's
Marvel.
wife.
Ah! Okay,
Pepper
you guys
Potts.
know why this was so surprising to me? I was reading an article and it was like Gwyneth Paltrow something something something, and I saw her face and I was like, oh, that's Pepper Potts. And then you said that and I was like, Pepper Potts is married to one of the Glee
Yes.
writers?
Iron Man wrote Glee.
So I'm having like major revelations about things because names are finally being attached to faces and like not the correct names, but still.
I look forward to her being on Glee so that we can call her Pepper Potts. I look forward to that.
Yay!
So Will invites Carl to speak to the class about dental hygiene.
Just nothing to do with Glee Club at all.
Yeah,
Have any of you ever had a dentist come talk to you about dental hygiene in school?
No.
Yeah, okay. Not a real thing.
Our school nurse
Yeah.
talked to us about using deodorant when we were in like 6th grade. I remember that. But other than that,
Time for a little Cullen's Corner.
oh my god, yes! I wish we had,
I had-
a little theme song for Cullen's Corner.
We should make one.
Cullen's Corner. Nailed it.
Nailed it. When I was directing my musical, I had to send an email to the cast because someone wasn't wearing deodorant and there was an intense dance number and it smelled so much the lead actress almost threw up, and it was like the lunchroom of the school that was letting us use space, and it smelled so bad afterwards that I had to be like, please wear deodorant, please wash your clothes, because people would wear like the same shirt, and you just had to be like, it smells, please don't. But you couldn't call anyone out. But it was, yeah. So wearing deodorant, please wear it. Gleeboot fans, wear it. Wash.
Yes.
Yay.
Cullen's Corner over. Yeah. Drink tastes good.
Erase the
liquor.
bad memories.
Yeah. So he speaks to the class and he gives them like a liquid that will show how much plaque they have on their teeth. And Brittany, who rinses her mouth with Dr. Pepper, has a lot. Artie and Rachel. And everyone else is like perfect teeth. And we're like, yep, that's how that works.
There were so many good lines, but like I literally laughed out loud when Artie was like, I think I would do better if I could see myself in the mirror. And I think I laughed so hard I cried, just like a little bit. Like I don't know why that got me. I did have a half a bottle of wine at that point.
Cause yeah, and Brittany's like, I thought Dr. Pepper was a dentist. And Santana's all like, you're the hottest dentist I've ever seen. You can drill me
Oh
anytime.
my god. When she said that, I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like something I might say. That's a bit on brand. Oh yeah, wait. Does Julia know? Okay, so we like kind of like started like casting like the three of us as Glee characters. So I'm Santana, Cullen is Blaine, who Alyssa has not met yet, and then Alyssa, who did you get? Rachel,
It's
right?
Rachel.
Yeah. So, Julia, who would you cast yourself as a Glee character?
Lord Tubbington.
Oh my god, that's
He's
so
Brittany's
good.
cat. Brittany's cat, who you'll see, but she's always like, Lord Tubbington, you need to quit smoking. And then he's like, meow. My favorite character.
That's how Lord Tubbington or how Lady Tubbington got Lord Tubbington into a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Brittany's great. I love Brittany. And her cat.
So, yeah, so that's the dentist visit. And so Kurt is still trying to get them to do Brittany, and he's like, him and Will are arguing, and then Kurt blurts out, "Why do you have to be so uptight all the time?" And then Will is all like, "Kurt, we will discuss this in the principal's office."
Well, the weird thing is that everyone goes like super quiet. Like Kurt said something that is super disrespectful.
Yeah.
I think they all got quiet because they were all thinking it.
Well,
It
so-
felt more like a
Yeah,
moment.
exactly. Which was, I thought, interesting because, I mean, however many times we've talked about students saying really inappropriate comments in class, and Schue has never batted a fucking eye. But Brittany literally said the word bitch in class, like literally seconds before this happens. And yet Schue is like, Kurt, you have committed insubordination. Go to the principal's office. And I'm like,
It's because
"Fuck
Kurt
you,
insulted
sister."
him, and that's all he cares about is
He's so
himself.
He's so selfish. Ugh.
I also,
still
like-
feel like
I feel bad for Kurt because his whole storyline this episode is being like, Mr. Schuster, let us do Brittany, and then they never give him a Brittany song. He
Oh
never
my
gets a song
God.
after all of that.
I didn't even notice.
He's
that.
like in
You're
the
right.
background of Toxic. I don't even think he has like his own line.
No,
And
he
it's just
doesn't.
like all you did was be like, let's sing Brittany, and then they didn't even give you one.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize that.
That sucks. Also, I feel like I wanted more build up to this moment if it was going to be such a big moment. Like,
yeah.
there's no reason for it at all.
And there's no consequences to it either.
No.
Yeah, we don't
No, like
see
we don't go
the-
to the principal's office.
Yeah. That's off screen. Nailed it.
Everything's off screen.
Good TV
We hate
term.
them. We hate things off screen. Like, show us things like that. But I guess, like, Kurt wasn't important enough in the episode. He just had to be mean, quote unquote, to Schue.
Well, okay, I've decided that actually there was build up and it was off screen, and the build up was that Kurt has been stalking Mr. Schue because I
Standing
don't know
outside
why.
his
That's all I
door.
got. Cool.
Like he
Standing
had
out-
in previous episodes.
He did stalk Finn and his dad that one
Yeah.
time.
See?
Exactly. I think there was like a little bit of build up because like almost every time they were in the choir room, Kurt would say something, but like, yeah, it's not enough, I think, to like warrant that kind of reaction from Schue or the class. Like, I don't know. I thought it was kind of like meh.
It was almost like they had the reaction, and then I had to figure out why the reaction was happening.
Yeah, they wrote backwards from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glee does
So
that.
then, yeah, Glee's about moments, not consistency.
Accurate snaps.
So Will goes to the dentist. He is talking with Carl, and Carl's like, okay, let's stop being fake. You're still going after Emma. Can you just not? And Will's like, I don't know if I can do that. And he's like, think about this. What if she left you or left me for you and I kept going after her? Would you like that? And Will's like, ooh, me no like. And he's like, okay, I guess. But the moment she leans my way, I'm going back in.
I hate this conversation
Same.
so much.
I knew you would.
I mean, neither of them are like, they're both talking about Emma. Like, she's some sort of like prize.
Yep.
Yeah. And neither of them are talking about what she wants, or if she wants Schue to be talking to her, or looking at her, or, you know, in the same school or in the same county. And yeah, like, it's just, it's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous, and I hate it.
It reminded me a lot of a moment we talked about from season 1 where like Finn and Jesse were kind of fighting over Rachel, that kind of tension where like Finn was like, I can't promise I'll stay away from her or something like that. Like it kind of has
I'll do my best.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll do my best. And I'm like, that's so gross. There's a lot of weird, so for like an episode that's kind of supposed to be about like how Brittany empowered people and because she's a strong woman in her own way, that like there's a lot of weird masculinity things happening in this episode, and I'm like, I can't tell if they're like trying to challenge things or they're just setting the same standards that society sets. I can't quite tell, but I don't like it.
It's like women are magnets and men can't help it.
Oh, they
something.
can't. They
And
can't help themselves.
I'm just like, you know what? Get the fuck away from me.
I think it also has always bothered me that they write Mr. Schue and all of his relationships in the exact same way that they write the high schoolers ones. Because it's like when Finn does something like that, it's like, okay, he's 16 and he's an idiot, and that doesn't make it okay, but it's like I can understand where like why he's doing it. But like Mr. Schuster's what, like 36 and has been married and like should know that this isn't the way you treat people. And it's just like the fact that it's like two adult males having that conversation is just like, why?
Everyone in this show is actually a child. They just haven't actually expressed that yet. We kind of are figuring it out. We're like, oh yeah, no, Schuster is still a child. Cool, good to know.
Yeah. He agrees to back off of Emma. Does he? Literally not. He does what Carl says. Carl says, "Oh, I just went and I was so like uptight and followed all the rules, and then one day I went and I bought a fancy car." And Will's like, "Me, a teacher." I make a lot of money. I'm going to do that same thing.
Well, this is all because Carl gives Schue a piece of candy and is like, you should loosen up. As a dentist, candy is my way to tell you to loosen up. And then he's like, I bought a car, which, just as a financial voice of reason, don't just randomly buy a car. That's stupid.
Especially,
I love Terry coming in and being like, no, stop. Because she's like such a pointless character at this point that it's like, why is she still on the show? And it's just to come in for like 30 seconds an episode and be like, will you idiot? And then leave.
yeah, it was really like she showed up, and at first I didn't recognize who she was until she took off her glasses. I was like, oh, it's Terry. That's right. He was married at one time. It just like, yeah, like what you were saying, Alyssa, like obviously that dentist makes a lot more money than Schuester does, and it's like maybe he could actually afford that car, but Schuester could not afford that car, and Terry reminded him of this like cryptic, I guess, promise that she was gonna try to give back with him, and she didn't want him to spend all their savings, and I'm like, oof, gross.
Well, before Terry even appears, he's like, oh, look, Emma, I'm doing what you said, because Emma's randomly there. And she's like, by
She
buying
gets in
the
the
same
car
car.
with him. Why would she
She-
get in the
Which
car
was
with
so
him?
weird. Never get in a car with someone who's stalking you.
A yellow
Alyssa's
car.
face is so earnest right now. So concerned.
Don't do it.
Also, are they on school property?
Yes.
I think
So, like,
so.
Are the students just like walking around being like, oh, our teacher's having a midlife crisis? Cool.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emma gets in the car and he's like, oh, this is my jam. He starts singing and he's driving and singing, and Emma's
And
face.
he does that stupid little dance.
Oh,
Ugh.
yeah. He makes this like weird shoulder like pop and lock move, and I literally like gagged. But no, Emma literally looks like she's being kidnapped. Like that's what
Yeah.
her face looked like, and I was like, Emma, I wish I could save you. And then
She
Why
looks-
fine did you get in the car?
She looks so uncomfortable and miserable, and I'm like, Emma is an audience stand-in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just imagine being in that situation. She's like, I'm so uncomfortable. And then Terry comes in and calls her a homewrecker, and she's just like, we out. Bye. Runs off. And yeah, and Terry's like, I want to get back together with you, and I don't want you to blow all our savings. Because he's like, we are divorced. And then Terry leaves, and he does a little like punch dance in the parking lot where he's just like, didn't work. Yeah, he's a child.
Can I just say that I really liked the car that he chose, though?
Really?
I have always wanted a canary yellow convertible.
Interesting.
I know it's kind of weird.
I would have never expected that from you. So that is a really interesting fun fact. I love that, actually. That's cool.
Shortly after this, Sue confronts Will about that he heard the Glee Club is doing. She heard the Glee Club might be doing Brittany. She just had to deal with Jacob Ben Israel's butt sweat.
Oh, there's
my
so
God.
much to talk about
That
with that.
scene.
Are we talking about that?
Are you
with
gonna just
Rachel?
skip over that? Okay, we're gonna talk about that later.
We're gonna talk about that with the Rachel.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what I thought. I have really been biting my tongue.
But fun fact, I recently met someone who knows the actor.
I'm
How is he
sorry.
doing?
Jacob Ben Israel
Yeah.
actor?
I'm sure he's a fine person. It's
Yeah.
that his character is so disgusting.
I'm trying to like remove the character from the person, and I'm having a hard time, guys. We all know that I have a hard time with this.
We can't wait for Pepper Potts to be on the show.
It's fun to just imagine a universe where Pepper Potts goes and talks with local high school Glee club. And I want that to be the next Marvel movie.
She totally would.
She
No,
would.
she would.
We could tell her that she did that scene and she won't remember, but she also won't know the difference. She'll be like, I just got a paycheck.
That's funny on so many levels.
I know, inside jokes. and great jokes. Ow.
Yeah. So Sue confronts him about doing Brittany because she feels like she's a toxic gateway drug to like depravity, basically. And so Sue hears Will hears Sue ranting about Brittany, and she's like, well, are you gonna do Brittany? He's like, no. He basically decides like, oh, we should do Brittany. And Kurt raises his hand and he's like, once again, the answer is no. No, I'm not gonna stand in your way anymore. We're gonna do Brittany.
Okay, wait.
Oh yeah.
Hated that.
How did Schue actually come to the conclusion that he wanted to do Brittany?
That's a great
When
question.
I think when Sue said it was bad.
So
I think it was like Sue was like, don't do it. And then he was like, ooh, this is the risk that'll impress Emma. Because then he's like, we're only doing
Okay.
Brittany if I am performing with you and doing sexy dances on the stage with you teenagers to impress Emma.
So
yeah.
he decided this all in his head without actually making any outward indication.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was like
Cool.
a little face, and then there was like some like Britney a cappella that indicated that he was having a thought. Yeah. I also had that same question, but also like kind of going back to that moment really quick, like Sue literally calls the school a powder keg of sexual deviance, and Phil has this other like really eloquent language. And then I'm starting to realize like we can kind of talk about when we talk about Rachel's storyline, but like I feel like Santana learned a lot of her retort and vocabulary skills from Sue, because she has a lot of the same eloquence, but like very rude eloquence, and I love it.
Yeah, so Schue is all like, we're doing Brittany and I'll be performing with you guys, and then everyone is like suddenly very quiet and awkward, and then it plays the Britney Spears the Durner.
It was so great because like the show also knows that no one really wants Schue involved in music numbers. And I was like, but why do they keep doing it? Like, just stop. How about that? That's an
I
option.
just like want an episode where the kids go to Emma and are like, do you think that Mr. Schuster is like too close to us? And that maybe it's inappropriate the way in which his personal lives intersect with our personal lives? They need help. I want to help them.
There's a lot of jokes in later seasons about how he has no adult friends.
Nobody
Really?
has adult
Wait,
friends.
later seasons he stays on that long?
Oh.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
When Effie- I'm so sorry to break this news.
He's like a cockroach. He never dies.
Oh
Yeah.
Now that we've ruined Alyssa's night.
Yeah.
This is Alyssa's last episode. She's taking a mental health break from Gleeboot.
Yeah. So next comes the school homecoming pep assembly, where the Glee Club, the crowd is assembled and they're all quiet, and Figgins is like, quiet children, quiet.
He is low-key an incredible character.
no.
He's so funny.
Oh
Alyssa has a
my.
history.
Do you dislike him?
He's the worst principal to ever be.
Oh, I'm sure he's not good at his job,
Oh,
but
no.
like he's funny.
He
He's
definitely
like criminally incompetent.
Yeah, but so is everyone at this high
True.
school.
True. But I definitely think like I literally wrote like this is what he's really good for, is these like weird, awkward moments that we can go into. But like right before that, like we're on Sue, but like we're in a gym, right? Like the
Yeah.
gym, and they have the stage set up, but they have like a show starting light thing that happens, and I'm like, absolutely, there is like no gymnasium that has that function. Why is that happening as if it's an auditorium? I was really confused. But yeah, then he comes on stage, and I think I died when he was mentioning the ravioli and getting tetanus shots. And then The other one's like, and due to the grisly train wreck. I was like, what is happening? So good.
Yeah. So his announcements are funny, and he announces the last, fresh off their last place achievement at regionals.
The regionals.
At the regionals.
Nude erections.
Nude erections. Yeah. You can say it wrong, and it still sounds like you might be saying it right. And that's what's terrible about that name. And then they come on and they perform Toxic by Britney Spears with Will Schuester.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I think the guest should go first.
I agree.
Okay. Toxic is my favorite song of all time. Like, if I could only listen to one song forever, it would be Toxic. And, like, I'm happy with covers of Toxic. And, like, if you close your eyes and you listen to it, great. And then you open them and Mr. Schue is thrusting around a bunch of teenagers and everyone's in top hats and Jacob Ben Israel is just, like, doing God knows what in the audience. I will say, "It's a Britney Spears sex riot" is my favorite line of all time. Yeah. I want it tattooed on my face. I think that whole storyline is wildly out of character for Sue, and I know she hates the Glee Club, but I think that she's also someone who would like support sexual freedom, but that's like a whole other thing. But that line is just like gold, and it does make up for that whole performance, but everything about that performance makes me want to vomit.
So
those are my thoughts.
Something I thought was that, like, I actually had to remember that they were teenagers, because as a group with Schue there, they all looked like adults. I was really like, oh, these are 25 plus. Actually, a couple of people are like under 23, but like they all look like adults, and it was really uncomfy. I hated all of the choreography in which I saw William Schuester. I think there was like a lot of similar vibes from like the Push It number that they first did at their last assembly.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
it was funny in that one, but like what's actually funny or interesting is it's like they did a very sexually charged number at their first one with like 6-7 people maybe, and they did Push It, and Schuester was furious and they got in trouble. But then they did this number in which it's also sexually charged, and it's a teacher performing with students, and yet nothing happens. So that was interesting. I think that's what I will note.
We have Mercedes like touching her crotch while Kurt puts hats over her boobs. Mm-hmm. We have them all thrusting into hats over their crotch. Yeah. We have them doing things that like I'm
Santana like bends over in front of Finn and he's like thrusting behind her. Which is ironic because they had sex for real.
They did have sex. And I'm like, characters like Quinn and Mercedes would probably be like, let's not do this. Like,
fair.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Quinn would do that, especially with like her like original background being like president of Celibacy Club, etc., and then being a teen mom. I can't imagine she would be okay with that. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous, and it's not funny like Push It. It's just uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And then Will is jumping around, and
he's singing.
I do love
like his student should be the one singing more.
Yeah. Before we get into the consequences of Toxic, Alyssa, do you have any thoughts?
I am going to say that you all have touched on the very difficult points of the performance itself. Therefore, I will touch on the audience reaction. there are two in particular
Oh,
that are focused on.
I don't know if I'm ready. I might need more
I feel like this
wine.
is the beginning of an academic paper.
In this essay, I will talk about how Jacob and Rizzo should be
I
instituted.
have to distance myself from the material and talk in a very clear and emotionally vacant
Wow.
way. Yeah, so there's Jacob Ben Israel, who is, of course, enamored with the entire performance.
Enamored is a
Because-
very nice way to put it, Alyssa.
Yes. I think he's, yeah.
Aroused.
I mean,
Like, dude, he's past aroused. I think he might have, like, come in his pants.
yeah, we talked about new directions, and there are definitely another form of new directions in the episode, which we can talk about Rachel's storyline. But
Well, also though, like, okay, so to start this riot, Jacob and Israel grabs the butt of someone in front of him, and from the long hair, it's supposed to be like he assumed it was a girl, and that was fine. And then the guy turns around and he's like, "Oh no, it's a guy!" And now he's gonna punch me in the face, and this riot's gonna start. And it's just like it wouldn't have been okay if it was a girl.
no.
Yeah.
You're
No,
still
it
grabbing
definitely-
someone's ass who did not consent to it.
Yeah, he literally just grabbed someone that I literally rewound that whole sequence like 5 times because I was like, wait, what? Because I was writing furiously my notes, and then I was like, wait, I have to go back and make sure I see everything. And literally, he just like grabs this person unprompted, and like that's assault. Like
Yep.
it's and then so like I don't know if we've ever come across her name, but Lauren Zeises, who's the young woman next to him, is also like shouting about how much she like wants Schuster's babies, and
Yeah, that was rough.
there's a
That
lot
was
of
real
weird
rough.
sexualization of Schuster, and I honestly think like it begins with his shirt being too much unbuttoned in the very first scene we see him in. That's where it begins.
It's the gateway drug. It's the drug that nobody wants. Yeah. Well, because, yeah, he's, like, screaming. Like, because then a riot erupts, and he's, like, on the ground just, like, screaming with sexual...
Jacob Ben Israel.
And then he's like passed out,
is
being
on the
carried
ground. Yeah,
out of the
I did not
auditorium.
understand that at all. It was very strange. So basically the riot erupts and people are rushing out of the auditorium, and Jacob Ben Israel is on the ground, and it's supposed to be like he's being trampled by this sex-crazed mob. Which
where
obviously
are they going?
doesn't
Like,
happen.
what's
Oh.
happening?
Well,
Who
because
knows?
Sue pulls the fire
Oh
alarm.
yeah, they're
Oh,
leaving.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because she says it's a Britney Spears sex riot, which is a great line.
It's a great line.
And she pulls down the
fire
she
alarm.
pulls
Do
the
you
alarm.
think Britney Spears' team had to approve that? Like, did they see the script for the episode before they were like, Britney can be in this? And they were like, yeah, Britney Spears sex riot. Good to
They
go.
had-
I hope they approved that.
They had to have. But like, okay, so like another shot I noticed was so like the riot starts and everyone kind of starts to scatter, but then there's a shot where there's like 4 or 5 Cheerios right in the front using their pom-poms. And then there's like a couple guys who randomly like grab them. Like I don't know if either of you guys caught that, but
I did.
I was like, what is going on there? Like I was like, is that another form of assault, or is that like
Wait, grab the cheerleaders or
Yeah.
grab the pom-pom?
Grab the
'Cause I
cheerleaders.
missed this.
they go to like am I right, Cullen? Like is that what you saw too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I assumed, trying to see the best in the world, I assumed they were like their boyfriends and they were grabbing them so they wouldn't get crushed by the riot.
Oh, precious Cullen. I actually read it as those actresses, like those extras didn't realize that it was the riot that had started, and so other extras had grabbed them to be like, you gotta run now. Like that's how I read it. But also, like in the context, I was like, is that also assault? Because like those actresses, those extras are like smiling and using the pom poms, but there's like chaos happening around them, and I was like, I feel like that's what that was. So yeah, I feel like I don't know. There was a lot of different reads, but it was crazy.
Yeah. So it's a crazy riot. Afterwards, Sue is like, I was almost crushed, and he's like, you caused the riot, but she's threatened. She says, I'm going to sue the pants off you, Will.
You'll hear from my lawyer, Gloria Allred. I was like, yeah, I doubt Gloria Allred is your lawyer, Sue Sylvester.
Nothing comes of that.
It also like has
How you can
Jane
say that
Lynch.
most of Glee.
In true Glee form.
She
Yeah.
also what?
Jane Lynch has like some really good like physical comedy where she like stiffens and like turns and like kind of like shoulder checks him, and but just, like her neck never moves because she's wearing that brace. And she's
Oh,
always
yeah.
so good, so good.
And then he's talking to Emma, and this is where Emma says he's the best teacher at McKinley High School.
Oh my
You're
God.
such a great teacher, Will. The best in the whole school. Ah!
Why?
That's what I said.
And she's like, why would you want to be someone else? And he's like, because the person I am isn't good enough for you.
No, that's not how that conversation went.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
No. It was like slightly different.
I'm sure it was slightly different. This is a summarized version.
No, but
We're not going to rewatch
was-
the episode
she-
just for that.
there's something. The red
She
bell
said
went off
something
in
about,
my
like,
brain.
I just
saying,
wanted you to
"No."
relax. She's like, I just wanted you to relax, and I don't know where it went from that, but I remember her saying that, and I was like, okay, but like, why do you have to tell him this? Why are you guys friends? Why are you talking? Just like, don't talk to him. It's that simple.
Get a restraining order.
Yeah. He's not the best teacher because we've watched Glee and we know what he does and how he acts.
I also love I guess this is later in Glee, so spoiler alert, but when there's the episode where it's like, hey Will, you're the Spanish teacher, do you speak Spanish? And he's like, oh, I'm supposed to be able to teach the subject that I teach?
Yeah, so there's a whole episode devoted
that
to how
happens.
bad a teacher he is.
Well, he was speaking Spanish to like someone in an earlier episode, and I made a comment about how I forgot that he was a Spanish teacher. So I just assumed he can speak
No,
Spanish.
oh my god, no, it was when he went to go to Sue's house, and her housekeeper or whoever she was, I think he said like gracias to her or something.
Yeah, it was very
It was
basic.
very kind of
It was like one sentence. It was a full sentence, I'm pretty sure.
I'm happy for him that he can at least do that.
Maybe it was, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was something along the lines of like gracias señorita or something, not as if it would demonstrate that he actually knows Spanish.
I thought he asked her like if Sue was in.
I
It
don't
was
know.
still a pretty simple sentence.
Yeah.
But it was a sentence.
Yes.
I would hope he can say more than one sentence.
Yeah, I can say sentences in Spanish, but I'm not a teacher. Like, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Like, nailed it. Like, I probably know more than William Schuster does. So there's that.
So Will decides to return the car because he's leaving, and Emma's like, where are you going? He's like, to return the car. So that's really the end of the Will storyline.
God.
Do we have any more comments on Human Nightmare Will Schuster?
I hate him.
Yeah.
I just like deeply hate him. I can't think of like any positive memories of this whole show that I have of Will Schuster. At all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. No. At best, he's boring.
Yeah.
And
And at worst, he's
At
the
worst,
worst.
he incites sexism and misogyny, as in the Power of Madonna episode. Oh, I'm triggered.
he's also, and this is going back a long time, but Matthew Morrison originated the role of Link in Hairspray on Broadway, which is the role that Zac Efron played in the Hairspray movie, and that means that they're supposed to be equally hot in the Hairspray world, and I strongly disagree. And I just thought everyone should know that.
Wow.
I don't think he was hot enough to play that part.
Yeah, that's fair. Zac Efron's way hotter than Matthew Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
That's so much fun information. I did.
I just like for
Now-
everyone to know that.
Now I'm obsessed with comparing Matthew Morrison and Zac Efron.
If Zac Efron had played Mr. Schuster, they
Can
would
we
have had
have
a
that?
19-year-old teacher.
Can we have that happen in our Gleeboot?
Zac
Mr.
Efron as
Schuster
the...
does not exist in our Gleeboot.
Oh, come on. We can have at least one teacher named Mr. Schue.
We could have a cameo episode where Zac Efron plays a character named Mr. Schuster, who's like the ultimate white savior character who tries to take over their Glee club.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could have him
He
be like
sings songs
really-
from Hairspray, and he dresses like Link.
Perfect.
We could be extremely ironic and have him be the best character. Just
Perfect.
so wonderful as a human being.
And he's like, I would never perform Toxic by Britney Spears with teenagers.
That's
wrong.
awful.
Oh my god, yes. Our Gleeboot is definitely filled with side-eye comments about the original Glee. 100%.
Yes.
Who
Please.
would start a band called Acafellas? That's stupid.
It's just like he's a cameo character for one episode.
He randomly pops in other episodes with like one-liners and then just leaves again.
Who would like? Yeah, I could. Yes, I love this.
Who would randomly sleep on mattresses that were just like in their choir room? That's so weird.
Don't touch those. You don't know where those have been.
I'm literally just thinking of like the weirdest things he's done on this show so far, and I'm like, there's so many good moments to just make fun of. He's so good. I can't wait.
Who would sing the thong song?
Didn't he also sing Gold Digger in front of them at some point?
Yes.
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 Our favorite Will Schuester numbers are either Somewhere Over the Rainbow or Ice Ice Baby. And the fact that Ice Ice Baby got so high shows you just how bad his oeuvre is.
No, or, well, like, really? Are those like our two best songs by him?
Yeah,
Unless you count Toxic.
Yeah, like
Which we
Julia said,
didn't
if
like.
you close your eyes, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you open your eyes and he's there, it becomes just like awful and almost unwatchable. Wow. I don't like. Okay, we're talking too much about William Schuster. Let's move on. I hate it.
All right, let's talk about A Beautiful Ray of Sunshine, Brittany S. Pierce.
Oh
Okay.
my god, yes.
Do you think, was that her name before this episode? Like, did we know her last name?
It
No.
was.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I made a comment on it, and then you guys were just wait. There's an episode.
Yep, you did. I remember that. I wrote that down. Yep. Because they called her
'Cause-
Brittany Pierce, and I think we learned that her middle name was Susan in this episode, but I think we
Yeah.
always knew that her name was Brittany Pierce.
I love that. I love the foresight. Good on Glee for planning an arc
Right.
for once.
Yes, the
Or
only
just,
arc
like,
that we can see.
They were gonna give her the last name Pierce, and they were like, "Oh, Spears,
Let's make her middle
nailed
name
it."
S.
Because they started with Britney Spears wants to be involved in the show. We have to write backwards from that. We have a character named Britney. Okay, let's start there. Cool. Let's get them on drugs again because that's like a theme the audience loves. We know that. That's how this episode happened.
So when Kurt suggests that they do Brittany, Brittany is like, no. And he's like, why no Brittany? And Brittany's like, my middle name, because my name is Britney Spears. And it cuts and you can see like Quinn, Finn, and Rachel, like all their heads turn and look at her. It's a great shot. And she's like, my first name is Brittany. My middle name is Susan. My last name is Pierce. Brittany S. Pierce. Britney Spears. I'll never be as famous or as talented as her. I'd like Glee Club to be a safe split space from living under the shadow that is Britney Spears.
I can escape the torment that is Britney Spears. I paused it and kept just like trying to write every bit that I could because I want that on my tombstone. So, my sarcophagus because I'm gonna be mummified. But I literally, that's when I was like, oh my god, I love this episode already. It's just so good, so good.
And because Santana's like holding her and she's like, thanks for understanding.
And then someone says something and then she's like, leave Brittany alone. And
Yes.
Like, that's a reference.
There are a lot of weird, like, pop culture at that time references. Like, there's another one with Rachel. I just, like, it was so strange. Because it was kind of like oh, that's right, that was popular in 2011 or 12 when this aired. Oh my god.
Yeah. So we get them on drugs, as you said. Brittany goes to the dentist, and he puts on Pandora, and Brittany starts playing, and she's like, oh no, not Brittany. And she goes under anesthesia.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, the music starts, and you can already hear the beat, and, like, I'm assuming that someone who would be as afraid of Britney Spears as Britney Spears is, that, like, did she... It was, like, a kind of, like, a strange timing thing where, like, the beat started, and then he started to put her under, and then she goes, oh, no, not Britney. And I was like, is that just, like, a weird edit timing thing? Or was that, like, the actress's timing? But, like, either way, I thought it was hilarious that there was, like, definitely a gap between when the beat started and when she realized what the song was. I just thought...
She's been avoiding Britney, so she doesn't know the songs.
Do you think so? Or do you think she knows, like, every Britney song just to make sure that she can avoid them?
I think...
This is the headcanon I want. I want a Britney spin-off, just a whole series of her. That's what I want.
Well, because she, as a character, like, her timing is always weird and how she responds to things. So it makes sense.
I just, like, I had so many questions, and then I was like, you know what? It doesn't even matter because I love it. It's so funny. Like, it just made me laugh so hard. Also, can we just, like, quickly talk about, I don't think we talked about how gorgeous John Stamos is, but he's gorgeous.
You mentioned it, but I am also going to mention when he first walked into the room, I was like, wait, he's a hot dentist. Okay. I'm on board.
I was super creeped out, and I've always been super creeped out by this line when he's like to Brittany, I'm gonna put you under anesthesia, and she goes, like, roofies? And then he goes, yeah, with like this weird smile, and I'm just like, what is this interaction?
Yes!
I forgot about that.
It's horrible. Like, I remembered that from like the first time I saw this episode, and it just always creeped me out.
Don't think I ever, like, noticed that when I first watched it, and I literally was like, he's not stopping to be like, wait, what? He's literally like, yeah, totally. And I'm like,
but like, he's like, yeah, like,
let's be honest here, any dentist in real life would never actually put you under unless you specifically went to the dentist to be put under, because that's a thing. Like, people who are afraid of being at the dentist want to be put under.
Yeah.
But any normal dentist would just give you, like, a shot of general anesthetic, and then your mouth is
Brittany
had
numb. 67 cavities.
True. That was his issue. That was their...
A lot of different people go under. And that's when I started questioning his medical...
Oh yeah, when Santana comes in and was just like, put me under because I have good insurance. And he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could give you, like, a really deep bleaching or something. Yeah. But I mean, like, we know that, like, adults who are supposed to, you know, or be trusted with the care of children and teenagers often abuse that power and give them drugs. And that's, I don't know, the 5th time in this series, and we're on season 2, episode 2. That's a great rate that we're going at.
Yeah. So, but when she goes under, she sings Britney Spears' "Slave for You."
So good. Like, just like, aside from just like how good the music itself is, the actress who plays Brittany is such an
Heather
amazing
Morris.
dancer. Heather Morris, such an amazing dancer.
She
Like,
is so good.
I couldn't
It's
take
also
my eyes
like
off her.
it's supposed to be a joke when she like comes out of this fantasy and she's like, I'm the most talented member of Glee Club. I'll be starring in every song now. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, you are.
She literally
Like,
is.
Actually,
every
yes.
Glee Club has kids who can sing. No Glee Club has that.
Right.
Because she can sing well and dance.
Yeah, and
Yes.
just like so well.
And she's really, really good at dancing. Like, yeah, like I don't think I've ever noticed how good she is because she's never been featured.
Yep.
But this episode, like, she used every bit of her talent, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And you can really see it in Me Against the Music. Is that the
Yeah.
name? Yeah. The one that she does with Santana when Santana's just sitting there like wiggling.
Yeah.
And then Brittany's
Yeah.
doing just like these insane dances around her. And it's like Naya Rivera is one of the better dancers of the Glee cast too. And then you put her next to her and it's like, oh, you're just
Yeah.
like doing a little swishy swish.
A little shimmy shim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's amazing. She does Slave for You, and then she comes back to Glee Club and is like, I want to do Britney Spears. I realize that I am more talented than her. I'm the most talented member in the Glee Club, and I'll be performing all solos from now on.
Everyone's faces, and when she does it, Rachel's always like, are you kidding me? Like, those are always her faces. And then, like, other people are kind of just like, what the fuck is happening? It's such a great mix. Like, Rachel does feel threatened in a weird way, but everyone else is like, oh my god, Brittany.
What's
Yeah.
Brittany on today?
Yep.
Because she says it all in her deadpan voice.
Yes.
And then Santana and Brittany both go to the dentist, and Santana convinces him to put her under because her dad's a doctor or whatever. And they have a combined fantasy of Me Against the Music. My note when I was watching it was, this is gay culture.
Yes. This is where gay happened. This is it. At least for me. I don't know. But no, like, I watched this. That was so I don't know if like I've ever talked about this with like either of you guys, but like, so I have these moments where like as a kid I should have definitely known that like I was also attracted to women, and this is one of those moments that I'm like, oh my god, I should have known I was bi back then. Like, I was totally into both of these actresses, and like this whole performance was just so sexually charged and amazing that I was just like stunned again. So yeah.
Yeah, they do like a pretty good job of, I mean, especially Slave for You, that's like the exact like dance and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And that was like a big video for Brittany.
I think something that threw me off in this one with Brittany and Santana was that Puck is there for literally a flash of a second, and it literally ruined like 15 seconds of
The whole
video.
Glee Club is.
Well,
It's there,
not
and
the whole
Kurt's
Glee
standing
Club.
in the background at some point, but like
Yes,
a lot of the
Kurt's
Glee Club.
there.
Rachel,
Finn,
Mercedes.
Rachel, Mercedes, Mike Chang. I did
Quinn
not
is
see
there
him.
on the stairs. I think
I
Mike
did
is
see Mike
there.
Chang.
Guys, I was too busy watching Brittany's awesome dance moves. I didn't notice anyone else.
They're like really hidden. I don't even really
Yeah.
know why they were there. I feel like they were just like, we want to see them shoot this one, and they're like, cool, let's just put some eyeliner on you and have you stand in the back so we
I
have to
think
hire
it
less
was like
extras.
supposed to be her like part of her subconscious, like, or their subconsciouses.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, but like Puck was there, and literally I just like came out of it. I was like, ugh, Puck's there. But then like I saw a couple other people, but I literally kept being like, where is Mike Chang? Mike Chang loves to pop and lock. Why is he not here?
I don't think they could like have just one of the Glee Club members be one of the professional dancers behind Heather, and then none of the other ones.
True.
Even though he's the only other one who can dance at all like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great number. And afterwards they're talking about how, yeah, we both went under, and somehow our fantasies combined. Like,
Oh my gosh, you guys. In high school, there were these two girls. This is Alyssa's corner, not nearly as catchy.
Corner.
But there were these two girls that I went to high school with who claimed that they could dream together. Like they would have separate dreams and then come together and be like, oh yeah, that totally happened in my dream too. And it would be the exact same thing.
Liars.
I was about to be like, do we believe them?
They were pretty weird, not
And
gonna
I would
lie.
say to know. I mean, but there's definitely like mass hallucinations and that kind of stuff. Like that's definitely like a psychological thing that happens.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah.
That's
So
Britney Spears sex riot. Yeah, so that's, I mean, Britney's storyline is pretty cut and dry, short. It's mainly at the first half of the episode. Another short storyline is Artie. Artie still wants to join the football team, even though he got Finn kicked off for Finn asking Coach Beast if Artie could be on the football team. The rest of it we'll talk about with Finn's storyline, but he goes to the dentist, he goes under, he has a fantasy number. I forgot to mention, Britney Spears is in this.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Britney's during Me Against the Music, Britney S. Pierce and Britney Spears meet, and she's like, "You're so pretty," and Britney's like, "You're sweet," and they have this nice little like interaction, and then
I thought the camera angles were kind of weird because like they're
I
obviously.
feel like Britney Spears wasn't there.
Yes, that's why I was like, they did not ever get them together. That
Yeah.
like she shot that on a green screen wherever she lives, and they just. Like,
I think,
yeah,
they actually did meet.
well, they maybe not that specific scene, but yeah, they have the one where she's like, you should definitely like try it with ranch, like pizza with ranch. That's also where pizza with ranch was born too, on Glee.
Yeah, because I remember on Kevin and Jenna's podcast, so Artie and Tina have a podcast together, and they were talking about like meeting Britney. Because
for the ranch pizza.
Yeah, because we're not told this is Artie going under. We just see Britney Spears, Britney, and Artie all talking, and she's like, "Oh, hi, Artie," and she's like, "Tina, you never should have left Artie. He's so great," and you're like, Britney Spears would never say that.
No, if Britney Spears watched Glee, she'd be like, "Girl, you're better off." But also,
it's entirely possible.
I'm dating him. Remember, I'm dating Artie, unfortunately.
We took a "What's your Glee boyfriend" quiz, and Hannah got Artie.
I don't think there's a good answer to that.
I got Blaine.
That's not a good answer to that.
Alyssa got Sam, who's not in this episode.
That's not an awful answer to that.
We've decided that he's just a giant golden retriever, and I was really excited.
He's probably the best answer you could get from Glee.
Yay. My own personal golden retriever.
So, yeah, Sam was not in Brittany, unfortunately. But Artie has a fantasy to Stronger. He's on the football team. He's like lifting weights. And then and Tina's watching his fantasy, like disappointed that she's not with him or something. And we're like, Tina, you have Mike Chang.
She's literally standing on the stands above a sign that says loser. And I'm like, who's the real loser in this situation? Artie, because
I guess it's Artie's fantasy. So Artie is picturing that Tina feels that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And Tina's like, I'm with Mike, look at his abs.
The other least problematic guy on Glee, Mike Chang.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Mike Chang, those are your two options for good Glee boyfriend.
Yeah, so Artie does get on the football team, though, after his Stronger fantasy, which leads us to the final plot, Finchel.
I really hate them together.
Yeah.
And I think this episode was like a very clear indication why, but it's just like them being together brings out just like the worst qualities in both of them.
Mm-hmm. It's toxic, one could say.
I'm slipping under. Yeah, so this storyline really starts with two of the jocks, Karofsky and I can't remember the other guy's name, tear Finn's Letterman jacket, and Coach
Also,
Beast.
if that jacket tore that easily, like, that jacket's not even worth it. Like, Letterman
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
probably
way
not.
dirtier.
It was really mean, though. It was like a mean moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they're usually just assholes, but that was just like, come on, guys, you can't wash off a slushie this time. It's you literally did some permanent damage. It's not great.
Yeah, and they said something about representing the duality and his sexuality as they tore it. And Coach and Finn swings at him, and then he steps back, and there's almost a fight, but Artie comes to say hi, which diffuses the fight.
Because you can't hit a guy in the wheelchair.
Which is really interesting because Artie used to get bullied a lot in season 1. Like, they put him in a porta potty. I think they put him in the dumpster one time, but they also
they did.
There was a reference to hanging, like giving him a wedgie and like hanging from the flagpole or something like that, right?
Yeah, there was.
So like,
And they also slushy him like
But
constantly.
don't hit him.
but now they're
he's
like,
in a
oh,
wheelchair.
we can't hit him, and it's like, I'm confused. What are your limitations? I don't understand. These all seem like physical violence to me.
Yeah. And
So
Coach
Glee is
Beast.
inconsistent. Shocker.
Whoa.
Coach Beast watches and is forlorn looking, and then.
Yeah, are we supposed to? This is the thing about Glee that I really don't like watching is when things, number one, happen off screen. Number two, things happen inside characters' heads.
Yes.
And you don't know what's happening. 'Cause
And you
it's
get
in your head.
They rely on the actors being good enough to use a facial expression that conveys a fragment of what they're trying to go for, and it's just like, it's not effective at all.
No.
And they also have a voiceover. For like, characters can do voiceovers on the show. They've established it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want them to do that because it's super annoying.
Yeah, but like,
but
if you
it's
have people thinking things and you don't know how to get them across, then like, voiceover is the lazy screenwriting way to do it.
Nice.
True.
That's a little lesson for everybody out there aspiring to
Television degree.
So, an example of why Finn and Rachel have such a toxic relationship in this episode is that so Finn's talking about how he wants to be back on the football team, and Rachel's like, I don't want you to be popular. Like, this relationship works because we're both not unpopular. And he's like, why don't you want me to feel good? And she's like, no, I just want to be the only thing that makes you feel good.
So
At least she's honest about it.
yeah, that's what she's like. I'm just being honest. But so that was the first, like, sort of like really oof kind of moment. But I was also kind of like, I don't know, she's a teenager, so like maybe she does genuinely feel like that, and maybe that's realistic. But then like that kind of stuff just like kept happening, and I was like, oh, maybe
For everyone out there, these are early warning signs of an abusive relationship.
that one in particular is like, I want to be the only thing that makes you happy. Please run.
Yes, please do.
Especially because Finn was basically in an abusive relationship with Quinn before.
Finn.
But
find
then he
some
turns
ladies.
around and is awful to her in this episode in a very like early warning signs of an abusive relationship way too.
People, just be kind to each other.
I love how so many times when we watch Glee, it starts with us like dissecting the plot, and then it just turns into like pleas for human decency.
Don't do these
We're just
things.
like sending out PSAs to anyone listening.
Yes.
Save
A
yourself.
warning. This is a warning sign.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I actually like, so I'm always looking for good BuzzFeed content to like possibly repost, but also to send to you guys. But this one was like full of spoilers. But one of the things was on this article that was like, relationships that shouldn't have happened on Glee because they're disgusting or something like that. And this, like, the Finchel whole thing was like, someone's like, it's so toxic and gross that like neither of them were good for each other. So we're not alone, guys. Other people understand this.
Cool.
We're not going to get reamed, at least as much as we think we are.
Yeah. This episode, because I liked them like as of last week. I was like, yay. And this week is just rough. Because so then Rachel turns to reading the Britney Spears unauthorized biography. And she goes to the dentist, she goes under, and she has a Hit Me Baby One More Time fantasy where she recreates that music video.
It feels campier than the original music video, too, which gave me Run, Joey, Run vibes, and I was like, I'm about this.
Have you guys all seen the music videos?
Mm-hmm.
This one's a pretty, like, iconic music video.
Yeah.
I don't understand the meaning of iconic. Unless you're talking about icons in the Catholic Church.
Speaking of...
Wow. The game is also about various icons in the Catholic Church. That would be an episode in and of itself. I would love to have it.
There was... Speaking of the Catholic Church, I remember growing up, I heard a statement from some Catholic speaker that I'm like, this is slightly true. That was like, American culture died the moment we all salivated over Britney Spears in a schoolgirl outfit. It's like, true, that is a very gross thing.
And she was like
young.
17 maybe?
Yeah.
Max. She was really young.
Because that was like her first single, like big single.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she was in a sexy schoolgirl outfit, so like playing up that she was young.
Yeah. And so like Santana has that whole bit.
Okay, we're jumping ahead.
But yeah, like
because
so like kind of to go off of that, like Santana mentioned something about like fetishizing things. But like we're talking about it, and it's like obviously what Brittany was doing was like, obviously she probably didn't choose to do it, but like it was a fetish that someone was playing off of. So it's kind of like really weirdly cyclical. And yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. So she decides to start dressing more sexy like Britney Spears, and that in the music video, and she shows up to school like that, and I'm like, what school dress code would allow this?
I also just like the fact that the non-Karofsky bully gets the reference to the music video, because he's like,
right?
You can hit me anytime you want, baby. And I'm like, why do you know the reference to this Britney Spears music video, bully?
Exactly. I exactly thought that too. Like, it's so strange. So that's the writer.
I'm pretty sure this school doesn't have. I don't think this school has a dress code.
No, I mean like the. Got to the Lady Gaga episode yet? But
yeah,
like...
definitely not.
No,
we got to the Tina. We did get to that one.
Yeah, Tina got blasted for her goth outfit.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah.
They
Glee
don't allow
is
goth outfits.
Not making sense again.
Sexy schoolgirl outfits on actual schoolgirls, that's totally fine with Figgin.
Just don't look like a vampire. Yeah.
That's the sad truth, isn't it?
So she is walking around and all these guys are like following her, and Finn tries to put a jacket over her and is like, you look cold. And he's obviously
at her. It's like
they're leering.
In the background from the extras is really just, I was very uncomfortable.
Okay. Has anyone had people leer at them before? Because I just recently had someone like leer at me for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like, and in an enclosed space, like a hall, like, I don't know, like I've had it happen on like a subway, and it's so different than when it happens on like a street. I don't know. It just like echoes.
I was in the mall and it was awful. I wanted to die and like sink into the ground.
Yeah, I a couple months ago I was walking home from the gym, and some guy was like waiting at a stoplight that I was waiting to cross at, and he literally rolled down his window, was like hollering at me, and I was literally covered in like gross sweaty gym clothes and I did not look cute. And he was like yelling about my ass. And I was like, I need to cross now because this is very unsafe. So yeah, I have experienced it and it's not fun.
It's the worst.
And it's really strange because like Rachel's not threatened by it. She's kind of enjoying it in a certain way that like
well, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Because
we always see this where women are supposedly really hot and they like enjoy everybody looking at them, but I have never experienced that feeling. And then from also, someone objectifying your body. That's not how you feel.
And going past the looking, like Jacob and Israel's like literally like he says wanky wanky to her, which was literally like blah. And then like when you see him later, you like hear what he was watching in the library. It's just like no woman is gonna be comfortable with or enjoy having those questions directed at her.
Artie is like, he's like bounce bounce or something, right?
Yeah, he does say that.
So like I will say that when I was in college and I like, so this is like undergrad, I had once or a couple times experienced like guys looking at me, and it was something that like in my head I was like cool with and I was enjoying that attention. But now looking back on it, I realized the reason I was enjoying that attention is because I was dressed a certain way that like I felt really good about myself. And so like I kind of liked having that attention at that time because it was like, yeah, I look good. But when I'm in gross gym clothes and someone's trying to holler at me on the street, like, yeah, so it's kind of like a really complex thing that again, Glee is not the platform to be talking about such complex issues. So yeah.
Well, honestly, I don't think they tried to address this in the way that they should have at all. Like, I don't even think they tried to address it.
It read like, just like Rachel was doing this to get attention from boys so that Finn would be jealous and would kind of like, it was a toxic part of this toxic cycle that they have going on in this episode, that like she was doing it to prove a point to Finn or to like get Finn's reaction on top of whatever else may have been going on psychologically that we did not explore.
Yeah, because she's basically like, oh, if this makes you uncomfortable, like, then you should try out for football, even though that makes me uncomfortable. And so they're like, oh, he's like, okay. So they're both, it's like a bargaining chip. Like, okay, if you want to be on football, then I'm going to dress like this, even though I know that makes you uncomfortable. And he's all like protective of her like a shiny object.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jacob like, Israel, then he's like, I will literally kill my parents to be with her, to Finn. And I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah, in the background, Brittany's just feeling his afro, like it's like a Jewish cloud.
Didn't Jacob and Israel, didn't he say, what do you want for her?
Mm-hmm.
How much do you want?
Yep.
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
And he was like, I'll kill my parents. It's like, why would Finn want that? Like,
why would he want, okay. She's not a bargain. You can't bargain for her. What?
But that's what Glee says. You can bargain for women. You can fight for women because they're objects. Just like with Schue and Carl, Rachel's in the same sort of cycle that Emma's in because that's how Glee views women. Yay.
So frustrating.
Yeah. It is.
Thank you,
Cullen.
I keep thinking of Jasmine in Aladdin where she's like, I'm not a prize to be won. And sit around talking about my future. And we're like, that was 1993. So Glee should have gotten the memo by now.
Well, if they didn't have Disney Plus, they should now share Disney property.
Yeah, if Disney's more feminist than you, maybe
you're doing
be concerned.
Yeah, if 90s Disney is better than the 2010s show, uh-oh.
Yeah. And so then he gets back on the team. Like Artie is like asking him, "Hey, I had my Britney Spears fantasy. Like, I'd love to be on the team." And Coach Beast overhears them and is like, "Sure, yeah, you can be on the team. Like, go get ready for practice, get suited up." Which I did like Beast in this episode more because she seemed like a much more reasonable authority figure than last week.
So, just a quick line that I noted when Artie mentions this to Finn. He goes, "Every day,
no.
Mike and Tina's Asian
no.
fusion grows stronger."
I really hate how much Glee focuses like on them as a couple, like just the fact that they're both Asian. That's just like all they talk about and all they ever show of them.
Glee loves racist Asian jokes.
Well,
like,
that
it really
and
it
I
does.
don't know why though.
They love reminding us that Mercedes is black, and yeah, like season 1, Mercedes was always like, "Oh yeah, you know she's black, right?" And like again, going back to the Power Madonna episode, like her and Kurt make culture because one is gay and one is black, and I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's like a thing that's like happening with like this Tina and Mike thing, and I don't understand. Like, is it supposed to be funny, or is it commentary, or is it both, or is it just like oversight? I don't know.
I'm gonna assume that nothing on Glee is commentary or successful commentary.
They're making comments, but
Yeah,
is there a good
I
stance?
don't need to hear them.
Something I forgot to mention earlier that's important is when Brittany is like, "I have all the solos, I'm the most talented one here," and she's like, "It's Brittany, bitch." It's just iconic. And one time we were hiking and I saw my friend Brittany and I was like, "It's Brittany, bitch," and I tripped and fell. And I was like, if I died, people would say he died as he lived, saying, "It's Brittany, bitch." And Britney Spears would come to my funeral and just say, "It's Brittany, bitch," and leave. Yes. So when
Another
Finn
Cullen's Corner.
Cullen's
Another
Corner
great-
two this week. Then Finn joins the football team again, and they can just push Artie as a battering ram. It's apparently allowed. And Rachel's like shows up in her regular clothes. He's like, "Oh, you're dressing normal again," and she's all like, "Yes, to make you more comfortable." And he's like, "Okay, great." And then she's like, "Aren't you going to quit the football team?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Now all these cheerleaders will be after you. Did you forget about your fling with Brittany and Santana? Because I didn't." And and he's like, I'm going to score a touchdown. I'm going to point right at you. Everyone will know you're my girlfriend." And she's like, "That's still not enough." And he's like, "You can't make me choose between football and you." And she's like, "But I'm going to make you," and leaves. She also does this entire conversation in the boys' locker room. And she's like, "I thought it'd be hotter, but it just smells."
I don't
And I'm
understand.
like, I don't think any woman thinks the boys' locker room will be hot.
No.
Yeah. So she wants him to choose between football and Glee. Or not football and Glee. He's done that 25 times. Football and her. And then she basically has Quinn come up to him and be like, "I'm head cheerleader. You're on the football team. We should be a couple again."
I hate that she does that. Like, just trust him.
She doesn't trust him. And so he turns Quinn down. He's like, "I just want to be with Rachel." And Quinn's like, I said what you wanted, and he turned me down. And Quinn looks hurt. And she's all just like,
Quinn did that, though. Like, what part of any part of their relationship would make her do that?
Quinn can be, I don't know. Quinn's a complicated woman.
Maybe Rachel gave her like $10 off screen.
Again, off screen. Yeah, like that's what I was really confused. It was like, because when it was starting to happen, I was like, oh, like, does Quinn legitimately want to get back with him? And then
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, because I'd forgotten that even was a thing, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, why would Quinn do that? Doesn't make any sense. Again, I think we've discussed before, every episode of Glee exists in an alternate universe in which the characters are slightly different, but yet forget everything that's happened before.
Especially Quinn.
Yeah.
Quinn is just whatever they need her to be at any point.
Yeah.
There are like a couple moments throughout, like, where she's just like totally disengaged from everything that's happening, and like you can see it in her eyes where she's just like, I'm here. That's it.
Yeah. And so she's like, he turned me down and he must really love you. And so Rachel's happy, but she didn't trust him. Is there consequences for that? Not right now, because then she's like, she sings, she's like, I have a song for Finn, and Will is like, no more Brittany, and she's like, no, this is a little more contemporary, and it is a Paramore song, only exception. And she sings that as we have our closing montage with Will looking sadly at Emma, and I think there's a shot of Artie being sad too, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's sad.
Everyone's sad, and then Finn and Rachel gaze longingly in love with each other, and we show him like leave talking to cheerleaders to talk to her. Yep, and that's how the episode ends.
Well, okay, so when Rachel's singing, I have a lot of notes about this. So going back to like, Quinn, she's like singing along, like as like other people in the audience are, or in the Glee Club are.
Yeah, all the
like,
women are
she
singing
doesn't have
along.
to sing, but like she is, and she looks so uninterested in doing that. And I thought that was really funny. Probably not.
She
as
looks pissed.
intentional. Yeah, I was like, why do you? She doesn't need to sing. She could just sit there and look pissed. I don't understand. Also, Rachel cry singing, love it. You know, I love a good squint sing. And then also, I have a Hannah's corner.
Ooh.
So I have talked about previously how there are some things that Glee has influenced in my life, like some of like Rachel's outfit choices in previous episodes. I was like, I had that exact same outfit or that item. I realized that I think the reason I got bangs in the 10th grade was because Rachel had bangs in season 2, and I was like, oh, I need bangs. And then also, the only exception, I sang that with my friend Kyle, who was the one who introduced me to Glee. We sang that at like our school talent show, and I literally wrote my notes, oh my god, I think Glee has completely taken over my life from the 11th and 12th grade, and I'm just now realizing it. So it's all Ryan Murphy's fault why I got those bangs, and it took forever to grow my hair out, and how I went flat during that show where we sang The Only Exception because my voice was not proper for that song. Yeah.
I definitely have. Glee owns my. I thought Smash owned your ass.
I've moved on from Smash. I think Glee was originally owned my ass before Smash did. Although I think they were somewhat concurrent.
The contract has switched hands many times.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're fighting for me. Much like some problematic characters in the show fighting for other people.
Glee definitely, especially now that I have this podcast, I do feel like it's taken over my life, and that like any reference comes back to Glee. Like someone was talking about the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I'm like, oh, yep. I've mainly only seen that from Perks of Being a Wallflower and the Glee episode.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, anytime I hear a Journey song, I think of Glee. Now, so again, going back to the Power of Madonna episode, we talked about... All right. We talked about how we would reboot and like we would use like Shania as a possible option for a single artist episode. I have been listening to Shania Twain on repeat for like a week since I started editing that episode. Like Glee has continuously transformed my life and impacted it, and I don't know how I feel.
So, now that we've gotten through the episode...
No, wait.
Okay.
There's something that we said we were going to talk about that we did not talk about.
Yes. Something we put a pin
What?
in. Yes, tell me.
We put a pin in the butt sweat.
Oh my god, Jacob Ben Israel! He was masturbating! He was Rachel! Oh my god. And New Directions, he was sitting on that hair.
Naked.
Yes. And
He was in the library, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the library.
Sue making him sit naked in her office while she yells at him is less creepy than anything Mr. Schuester did in the whole episode. Which is when she has like a literal naked teacher in front of her.
No, I think it's less creepy because she's disgusted by it.
Yeah. And he's like, not.
She's making him do it so he can feel bad about doing it. And I'm like, I don't say I agree with this strategy, but I think it might be effective. But I don't know. He probably continues to be gross if we see him again. I don't really remember. But he's
I was
a gross
completely
character.
horrified.
Yeah.
Well, he starts the sex riot after this. So he learned nothing.
Oh my god. That's true. And he groped that person out of nowhere. But okay, also like the woman next to him, Lauren Zeises, literally gives him this weird look like, why did you grab that person? But like never resolved, never brought up again. He literally
In fact,
groped
he's
her.
carried out of the gym like a freaking martyr.
Yeah. Also, another thing I'm really confused about is that, like, okay, so, like, Jacob Ben Israel groped this person, but, like, also, why was there a 45-year-old man with long hair at this
I think that's supposed to be a teenager. I hope.
I don't know. I feel like he was the art teacher.
Turns around in Dexon.
I think he was the art teacher or something.
And he was just done.
He was like, I'm going to get fired next week anyway. I'm going to punch this fucking kid.
Please, God, tell me that if anyone was found naked in the library masturbating, they would be kicked out. In the real world.
Masturbating to a video they took of another student.
Exactly.
Like kind of with her consent, but had she not consented, as we saw last episode, he would have continued filming.
She did not
'Cause,
consent to him using that for masturbatory material.
That definitely.
Unless that happened off screen, but that seems very out of character for Rachel.
Yeah, the butt sweat. It was gross.
But I kind of love when, like, Sue's telling Schue about that whole sequence, and she's like, go to the stain, stare at it. And it's like cut to the actual seat, and you see the stain, and then you see her looking at it. It's so, like, that's like peak Glee humor, and I laughed so hard.
She's like, you'll see all the light that of what is good in the world fade. It's funny. It's a funny bit. Jacob Ben Israel, still disgusting. Yeah. So after all this, here's my question. In the Gleeboot, is there a Britney Spears episode?
For sure. Yeah. Britney Spears is still, like, super relevant. They have the whole big, like, you can go take pictures in the sets from Britney Spears' music videos at a pop-up that's, like, been around for months, and the tickets are $80 and it's all sold out. So, like, yeah.
We've already confirmed that I do not know any of the music videos, and so they were not relevant specifically to me. However, I would say yes anyway, because Brittany, that I know, the one in Glee, is a fantastic dancer, and I just want to have her, like, have her own episode.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's a genius pairing. I think it's a great idea for an episode. And Britney has a lot of well-known songs. Yeah, I would have a Britney episode.
And focus only on Brittany, and Will and Finn and Rachel don't get storylines, and Brittany gets to have an episode to herself.
Yeah, I want some of Britney's internal struggle more. But would that make her less funny? I don't know. We'll find out when we do it. We'll try. What do you think, Hannah?
I I love this specific one, the singles artist episode, because it was really a lot of fun to watch. Like, oftentimes I will be like, oh yeah, I think I liked this episode when I first watched it, and then watch it and I'm like, oh, this is awful. But like, even with the awful stuff that was happening, there was still a lot of like really great Glee content that I was like, this is really funny, this is really good, and like I can just sit back and make fun of this other stuff that's not good. So like, yeah, I think it's actually a pretty solid execution of like an idea to bring Britney Spears, who is got some sort of inherent campiness to some of her older music, that I think is just like so much fun. So yeah, absolutely.
All right. I think it is Tina time.
Okay, guys. Tina has somewhere between 5 and 7 lines this episode.
I think
There's a range.
No,
Wow.
I was counting.
you counted.
Yes. Well, I tried and I got up to 4 and then realized I missed some. So between
That's
4
hence the
and 5
range.
and 7.
Hence the
lines.
range. Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Amazing.
I was counting for most of it.
And who was our LVP this week?
Jacob and Israel.
He's pretty
disgusting.
gross.
He's human garbage, and then Will Schuster's a human nightmare. Yeah.
For me, it's Will Schuester because he's like Jacob and Israel's disgusting, but like also it's like okay, he's young and maybe he'll like grow out of it, and like Mr. Schuster's old and he should know better. And I like have it in my notes just like a million times where it's just like, what is Will doing? And this is performing with them illegal, and it's underlined 3 times because it doesn't seem right, and he should know that he can't do that. And like so should Jacob, because like people should be taught not to act that way, but it's like at least he's still a child.
I think I'm going to go with Schuster. Because, okay, I'm going to be totally honest here. I have ceased thinking of Jacob Ben Israel as an actual human being.
Oh, wow.
So he no longer, makes the list.
I mean, the show doesn't give him the depth of a human being.
No,
That's true.
He's, he just doesn't exist in my book. He literally doesn't have any depth to make any sort of character decisions and whatsoever. So Schue, who, like Julia said, should know better and should have learned at least something in what the entire season that we've watched him. Yeah.
Or the first 35 years of his life.
Yeah, but we didn't see the first 35 years of his life.
Thank God. Oh my God.
Prequel series about Mr. Schuster and Glee.
That's what the people want. Give them those content people want. I know I always pick Schuster, so I was like, I gotta pick someone else, and Jacob and Israel was the first one I could think of, so yeah.
I'm picking Schuster too. I
Wow.
think I've given him a break for a while, but he was pretty gross. I think the singing in the car, rough. Toxic, doing it with the teens. It was funny how they didn't want it, but he still did it anyway. His shirt being too see-through, gross.
And presumably he's the one who dictated the outfits for that song.
Yeah. Gross. Bad on him. He's butt sweat. Because he has a chin butt.
Nice.
Yeah. Who is your MVP?
Wait.
Yeah.
He has a butt chin.
I like chin butt. MVPs.
Brittany.
Brittany.
Yay! Wait, what's Britney? Britney Spears or Britney S. Pierce?
Both. It was Britney S. Pierce's time to shine, and she shone like the star that she is.
For the first 20 minutes of the episode.
Yes.
I love her. Any episode that heavily features her, anything that lets her like show the talent that she has, that they seem very intent to ignore. And also, this was like the first episode really where she got like lines, like more than like one or two. Yeah.
She was the first student to speak, so like Schue starts with whatever garbage he has to say, and then she's the first other person to speak. So like we are like set on her. It's awesome.
Yeah, and she's an amazing dancer, amazing performer, and she's just funny. So good for her. What was our least favorite song this week?
I'm gonna say The Only Exception, because it is the only exception in terms of Britney songs. It was not a Britney song.
Yeah. And it's also just like, I love a Rachel cry sing, and I love a Rachel looks directly into the camera and sings, but I like it when she's doing like some like insane song that it's like, yeah, this is hard, and this is why we're listening to Leah Michelle do this, and why we can just like watch her. And that one was kind of just like, this is a little boring.
She was crying for literally no reason, and I loved it.
And like she gets me. Whenever she cries, I'm like, I believe it, and I feel you.
I should be crying too.
I'm not gonna be that hard on it's the only exception, because when I watched it, they did the change from diegetic music to non-diegetic music seamlessly, and I didn't notice it at all. And it was the first time that I didn't notice it, and therefore I noticed it because I didn't notice it. But it was the first time in Glee where I was like, wow, I totally believed that cut in this song. So it's not going to be my least valuable song. But I think I'm going to go with Toxic.
Valid.
Because it was so uncomfortable.
While Only Exception isn't the strongest of the Rachel cry sings, I am going with a Britney song. I'm going with Stronger, because I don't want to hear a song hating on my girl Tina.
True.
Tina deserves Mike Chang. She deserves better than Artie.
I forgot that was a song in this episode.
It's also like Kevin McHale's just like, he's a good singer, and you watch his songs and you're like, cool. And then I forget about all of them.
Yeah,
I like the cover.
Yeah,
like, I wouldn't skip it. Like in my if I had a Glee playlist like Cullen does. But like I liked it. But yeah, like I also like it kind of the context of it was just throws it off.
I think this was overall a strong episode for music. Like there's like a song that you're like, oh yeah, that one. But this one, I was like, I don't know what my least favorite song was. Like the musical numbers were really enjoyable. And I think that's always good for Glee. That's always an indicator of a strong episode.
Yeah.
When a musical show, like the musical numbers are what's enjoyable about it. What was your favorite musical number?
For me, it's Slave for You, because that's just like where she gets to dance like the most, and it's like the first one, and you're like in it, and that's also like to me one of like the most iconic Britney videos, which I know Baby One More Time is like more popular, but it's like Slave for You like had all like the stuff, and then they brought in like the snake from the VMAs, and I was like, this is fun, it's cool, it's got references, and it's fun even if you don't get the references.
I agree. Good choice.
I also am going to pick Slave for You, and I definitely can attest to it's fun even if you don't get the references, because I didn't get any of them, and it was still fun.
You didn't even get the reference that it was the music video, right? Or you like
no, because I've never seen any of the music videos. Yeah, I had a feeling that they probably was, but I had no reason for that to actually be fact in my brain.
Right. Nice.
But it was a good song, and it really showed off Britney's talents
So
I-
I'm picking on Rachel again, but in a good way. I actually really loved Hit Me Baby One More Time because I liked the sort of like Run Joey Run campiness of it. That like Rachel was kind of amplifying. She was looking right into the camera for certain parts, and like obviously it's part of the music video. But yeah, I really loved her take on it. It was actually kind of fun to watch Rachel slash Leah Michelle, the actress, actually dance because I don't think we see her ever really dance because she's always doing solos and just like dancing around Finn with no real choreography. So like it was actually kind of fun to see her actually dance, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good for so I really like that one. Hit Me Baby One More Time.
That song was stuck in my head today at work. I found myself just like humming along to it. Like,
You're welcome.
Baby, baby. Yeah. I'm going to go with Me Against the Music.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was fun. I liked Brittany and Santana together. Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. So that's our episode. That's what we have to discuss.
Oh boy. We've done it, guys.
Yeah.
So
Should I plug some social medias?
plug some social medias. Plug away.
Okay, so you can follow Gleeboot Podcast at Gleeboot Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And then we're also on Tumblr, gleebootpodcast.tumblr.com.
You can follow me on Instagram at yourboyryan99. And you can follow me on TikTok at yourboyryan99. You can follow my YouTube channel.
How do you spell that one?
Sorry.
That's how Alyssa feels about Cullen's YouTube channel.
Alyssa hates it. Your boy Ryan, Yaboi Ryan. You can meet my internet persona. Do you want anyone else have any somies they want to plug?
Go ahead and follow my Instagram at Swearingen. What is
That's
A.M.Swearingen.
Gotta know it's my Instagram. Go ahead and follow it if you want to see the far reaches of my life. And don't stalk me.
She's also got some really great art on there because she's a great artist.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to plug? Or just...
You can follow my old boss's dog on Instagram at thatmidgelife. That's the extent of my social media that I don't touch at all that I'm going to plug right now.
That's
Perfect.
great.
I
Oh
don't
my
follow
God.
rules. I follow dogs on social media.
Oh, that's good. That's a t-shirt.
It's a quote. I took it from Katie or Ava, the little YouTube girl that I smell like beef girl.
I love her.
Yeah, she's hysterical. Yeah. So let's thank Julia for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good time revisiting Glee with us.
I always have a good time revisiting Glee until I really stop having a good time. There's like cut off with Glee.
Yeah. And tune in next week for the Glee's take on religion, which is what we were all asking for.
Oh boy, I'm excited for this one.
Is it the grilled cheeses episode?
Yes.
Oh boy.
That's so much fun.
And you're welcome back on anytime, Julia.
Not to discuss grilled cheeses.
We already have a guest for that one. All right, but
She just shows up at your apartment. Guys, I have some notes. I
I have
rewatched the
thoughts.
episode.
every Sunday, Julia just shows up with more and more notes. Just like,
I'll
I
send
need to
them
talk
via
about Glee.
email. That's me in most of my life.
Same. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.